Okay, so recording is started. Okay, now in previous section, or we are looking for what are the different annotations available in TestNG, right? So in that we have seen there is one before suit annotation, so which is going to execute first. After that, before class annotation is there, that is executing just after the before test. Then before method is there, it will execute after the class, and then we have sorry, first of all before suit, then before test, then before class, and then before method, right? And then your test will execute, right? How we are having before, similarly we are having after annotations as well. Okay, now in after annotations we have seen after method, after class, after test, and after suit is there, right? So I will write in same way. Okay, so okay, so after test I'm going to write the after method annotations. After method. Okay, now in this after method, as we know that after method it is going to execute. Method means here test. After test it is going to execute, right? So what I'll do, I'll just update the method name here. Okay, after method, and I'm going to add the annotations as well here. Okay, so this is my after method, right? So after method we have, okay, after method is here, and after method we have after class, right? So I will add the after class here, right? So instead of method, I'm going to say after class.
Sir, after method, after test class will be there.
No, after method, after method, after class is there, right? And after class, after test is there. After test, suit is there, right? You have to go in reverse direction now.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So after class is there, right? So I'm going to update here. After class. After class. Right. So just after the class, if you see after class is here, after class we have after test here, right? So I'm going to add the after test now. Okay, I'll say this is my after test, right? So this is our after test. So I'll just update here the test. This is my after test animations. Okay, and just after test we have after class, and then sorry. After class we have after test, yeah, and after test we have after suit, right? So I'll just update the after suit. After suite is there, right? So we have before test, before class, before method, sorry, uh, before suite, before test, before class, before method, and then test is there. Okay, and after the test we have after method, then after class, then after test, and then after suit is there, right? So now what I'll do, to I'll just add here some design so that you will get to know that actually it's printing this particular output. Okay, so for each and everyone, I'll just add these dashes. Right, so we'll get how it is printing. So this is for the before method. Okay, so once the before is done, I'm going to write it for the after. So this is after test. Okay. And finally, after suit is done. Okay, so execution sequence, if I go to the this particular slide, what I'm saying, very first, before suit is going to execute, then before test, then before class, then before method. Okay, so once this before is finished, then actually method execution, that means actual test execution is going to happen. Okay, that is on fifth number. After fifth number, it is going to execute after method. So before method is done here, test is executed, and just after that, after method will execute. Okay, now you have to consider the direction like this, reverse direction. So um, after method will execute, then after class will execute, then after test will execute, and finally, because at beginning, before suite is execute, right? So at the end, after suite will execute. All right, and here your execution will done. All right, so we have written in same way. Okay, now just try to execute this and we'll see what is happening here. Right, so now execution is done. Okay, if I go to the log, okay, so it is executing like this. Okay, so before suite is executing very first. So first number is before suite. After that, before test is there. Then before class is there. Then before method is there. Right, so all this before is executing in this direction, in this order. Right, before suite, then test, then class, and then method. Right, so once this is done, test execution is done. Test execution is done. Right, so after test execution, after method is executed, then after method, after class is executed, after class, then after test is executed, and after test, if you see, after suite is executed. Okay, so in between it will, print the log and do other methods will execute, and finally it will execute the after suite. So after suite will execute at the end when your test is going to, or whenever your suite is going to end. After that it will execute the after suite. So after suite is execute at the very last. All right, so in this order it will execute. So now you can say, like, you have added in this order. So that's the reason it's executed in same direction, so same order, right? So what I'll do, I'll just update this particular order. Okay, so for example, let's say this is before suite is there, right? So what I'll do, I'll just cut this before suite and I'll add it, at the last. Yeah, exactly, right? So I'll add it here. All right, so then I'm having after suite, that we know that it will execute at the end, right? So that particular part I will cut and I'll add it into at the beginning. Okay, so I'm having at after suite as the beginning and after before suite as the ending, right? So now we'll see in this I mean, is in this order it is executing or not. All right, so execution is done. But if you see here, before suite is executed, not after suite. Even though I have added the after suite as beginning of this particular file, still it's not executing the after suite. It is executing the before suite. Okay, so in which, I mean, order you have written, that is not matter. What tag you have given for that particular method, that is important here. Right. So here before suite is executed first, then before test, then before class, and then before method. Once this is done, your test execution will execute, your test will execute, then after method, then after class, then after test, and finally it will execute the after suite method. Sorry, after suite. Right. Okay, so now in this order it will execute, right? So you have to remember in which order it will execute. So this particular slide is important, right? So you should remember, I mean, in which order which tag will be executed. In which order which tag will execute, right? So because at the time of interview, they will say like, I'm having, at the rate before test and at the rate before method. So which tag is going to execute first? All right, so you should know this sequence. All right. Now what I'll do here, I will add one more test case.
Yeah.
And
Ajay sir,
Mhm.
why it is printing the log before after suit
Because
on the
after
console?
suite will execute at the end. Okay, so it will print the logs and all, and after that it will execute after suite.
So
So
when the log will be print after that test,
this is
after
not
test.
test. This is not test. Right. So after suite, what basically you are going to do, for example, if you want to, do some cleanup, if you want to, generate some, let's say reports, if you want to, fetch some, I mean, if you want to, so let's say after suite means once all the execution is done, then if you want to perform some task, you are going to add that particular task in this particular file. So let's say here till here I will get all the report, right? So on the basis of all the reports, suppose I want to generate one XML, right? Or I want to generate one HTML report by my own, right? So for that, I need to finish till, report get printed, right? So once the report is printed, I will read something from that report and I will prepare my own reports, right? So that's the reason, if you're having such, kind of task, in that case, what you are going to do, you are going to use the after suite. Okay,
Okay, sir.
but here you can remember it will execute always at the very end.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, what I will do, I will add here. Okay, one more test, and I'll say this test is, for example, add user. Okay, so I'll not. Okay, or I will say login to, instead of saying add user, I'll say login to. Okay, and I'll say this is my login to method, login to test. Okay, this is my login to test. This is my login test, and this is my login to test. Now, how many tests I'm having in this particular file?
Two
Two,
test.
Correct. Two
two
tests are
tests.
there, right? So now let's run this particular again, and we'll see what is the output. So for that purpose, I'm running all the test cases. So I'll say run all. Okay. Now if you see, two tests has been run, two pass, zero failure, and zero skip. Right. So if I scroll little bit up, okay, before that, what I'll do, I'll just expand this particular section. Okay, now I'll just go a little bit up. Okay, now if you see, before test, sorry, before suite is executed first, then before test, then before class, then before method, then my first test is executed. All right, and just after the first test, my after method, sorry, just before the first test, before method is executed, then my test is executed, and just after that, after method is executed. Okay, now once after method is done, then again before method is executed. Okay, and just after that, my second test is executed, and after that, after test is executed. Okay, now what it means? What it means? What do you understand from this? Okay, now I'm having how many test cases in my file?
Two test cases.
Two test cases, correct. I'm having two test cases in my file, right? So what I'll do, I'll say this is my test one, and okay, or assume that there is two test cases available. Okay, so first test is test one, and second test is test two. Okay, now if I'm having before method and after method available in my file. Okay, before method and after method is available. What it will do? Before method will execute before each and every test, or you can say the method. Okay, so this is my test. Before that particular test, before method will execute. And as soon as my test execution is finished, that means my test is run. Okay, just after that, after method will execute. After method will execute. Just my test is finished. After that, after test is execute. All right. So now for the first test, before starting the first test, before method is executed, then test is executed, then after method is executed, right? But we don't have, I mean, only single test here, right? So we have second test as well, right? So just before starting the second test, what it will do? It will execute the before test. Okay. And just after the test is finished, it will execute the after test. Okay. So basically after test, sorry, before test and after test will make the sandwich, right? So for your test, right? So always if you're having before method and before method and after method is available, so it will make the sandwich of your test, right? That means just before your test, it will execute the before method, and just after your test execution is done, it will execute the after method. This is clear for everyone? For example, if I'm having,
So,
let's say, test 3 here, right? For example, I'm having test 3 here. So what will happen if you're having test 3? Then before test 3 as well, it will execute the, because for each and every test, it will execute the before method before the test, and it will just after the test is execution is finished, it will execute the after method, before method and after method. Right. So
uh,
these particular two method will execute how many test cases are there? That's that much of time this particular method will this particular annotations will execute.
so are
This is
there
clear
other
for everyone?
annotations, other
Sorry,
annotations like at the rate before class and before
that
me,
those will
before it
execute
will
only.
execute only one
Correct.
time,
Those will execute only
and
once, but these two
and this
annotations is
will
dependent on
execute
your test case.
test
How many
case.
test
How
cases
many
are
test
there?
case?
That
Yeah,
that much of time it will execute.
it will execute. Yeah.
Okay. Other annotations, if you see, okay. So here I'm having before suite, before test, then before class, then before method. Okay. Then my test is executed. Then after method is executed. Then again before method is executed. Then second test is executed. Then after method is executed. Then my after class is executed. Then my after test is executed. And finally after suite is
After test.
executed. Right.
Yeah, got it. Got it.
So yeah, so it is only impacting these two tags. How many tests are available? That much of time this before method and after method will execute. This is clear for everyone or not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now what we'll do, we'll try to add this particular thing in real-time example. Okay. So what we'll do, we'll add some code. Okay. For example, let's say we have written previously one method, right? So for the launching the browser, right? So what I will do, that particular method we will call inside the, let's say, before, let's say, in before, let's say, suit will execute, or most of the time in before suit you are going to initialize, your framework related things, right? So for example, you are reading the test data from somewhere. It's not necessary this format should be as it is. It is very flexible. As per your need, you can customize it. Okay, there is no standard. Okay, so you have to think in my framework how I should manage this all these tags, and it is not at all mandatory. You should use all the tags. If you are using two tags, if you are using one tag, if you are using, let's say 3 4 tags, that is fine. It's not mandatory. You have to use the all the tags at a time. Right. So assume that, let's say I'm using few of the tags. Okay. So for example, first tag, I'm saying like, okay, so what I'll do, I'll say here, okay, I'll keep this particular file as it is, and I'll create one more uh, test here, and this is my TestNG test. Okay, so I'll say other TestNG. Okay, so I'm going to use here, so let's say before suite. Okay, then after suite, then before method, and after method I'm going to use here. So I'll say, okay,
So class name would be
yeah,
same.
all right. So I'll go again, I'll say TestNG class. Okay, what I need to use before suite, after suite, before method, after method, right? So I'll say my class name is, let's say, for example, let's say I'm having user, or maybe admin user class is there. Okay, so basically I'm going to add all the admin related test cases, admin user related test case here. Okay, so for that purpose, what I'll do, I'll just, say finish here. All right. Okay, so now the class admin user is created. Okay, so there is one test is added. Okay, and if you see before suite, after suite is there. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll just, cut this before suite and I'll update it here. Okay, as you all know, sequence will not matter here. Okay, but for readability point of view, I will just add it, before test first. Then after this, after test, I will add it here. Sorry, after method, I will add it here. Then after method is here and after suite is here. All right, so I'll just say align it proper. Okay, so for example, let's say I want to launch the browser, right? So that particular piece of code, I'm going to add it here. Okay, so I'll say driver, driver. Okay, and I'll say driver dot, so let's say driver is equal to, sorry, driver is equal to new Chrome driver.
Chrome browser.
Okay, and I want to launch the URL as well, right? So this time I'm just taking this hard coded. Okay, but you guys know that, right? How to read it, where to keep it, right? So same logic you have to apply here. Okay, other, maybe you can call that particular, method from the util class here. Okay, but as of now, I'll just show it here. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I'm going to, let's say, launch this particular orange HRM, right? Right. So this is the URL of Orange HRM. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to add this particular thing here, that particular URL here, so that as soon as my test is launched or test execution is started, what it will do, it will just launch the browser with the Orange HRM. So I'll say driver dot what get. Okay, and in that I'm going to add this particular URL. I'll just save it. Right. So what I need to do, I'm going to add multiple test case, which is maybe related to add user. Okay. Or maybe edit user, right? So in that case, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to log in with this particular username. I'm going to log in with the password. Right. And I'm going to go to the admin module. And here I will say add user. Right. So whatever details are required, I'm going to add it in edit here. And finally, I'm going to say save it. All right. So it will add the user or it will add the new user. Right. So for that purpose, what I need to do, I need to okay. I need to select the role, for example, EC. I need to type the employee name. So let's say test user. All right. Okay. So it is searching from somewhere. Okay. So what I can go to PMI. Okay. So I'll try to add the PMI user. Okay. So basically this is the PMI user. Okay. So here I'm going to add the, let's say as a P. All right. So employee ID, it will take automatic. Okay. I can read it or it's not required, then I'll just save it. Okay. It is not allowing me to save it. What is the issue? It's not giving the even error as well, right? This is not required, right? So why it is forcing me to do it? I think this add user functionality is having some bug in this application. Otherwise, we have filled all the mandatory details, right? So username is mandatory. Yeah, we have added it, but it's not allowing me to, add this particular record. Okay, so let's me go with the credential. So I'll say my credential is, let's say, username is, let's say, or maybe Ajay 1234. I'm going to say this is enable user. This is again bug because I have added entire information and it's saying like it's required. All right, so this is the bug. Right, so I'll say system Ajay 1234. Ajay at the rate 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Ajay at the rate 1, 2, 3, 4. And just save it. Okay. I think this particular add user feature is not working. Okay. Okay. That's fine. Okay. Status we are getting 404. That is not found. Right. So there is issue with this particular application. So maybe we have to wait till this particular bug is fixed. Till the time, we'll check for the another feature, right? So for example, let's say I'm in live module. Okay. And I'll say okay, or maybe what we can do, we can add one simple test case to check that, in first test case, we are going to check this admin menu is available or not. And in second test case, we are going to check the PMI menu.
Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yeah, Ajay, we can't hear Ajay what he said.
Ajay sir,
I
your
think
voice
stuck.
is, yeah,
Struck.
yes sir, your voice is not audible to us.
About itself is not okay.
Ajay sir, your voice is not audible.
This is for everyone.
No,
No,
it's okay, Ajay.
Hello, hello,
Now we
I'm
can
audible.
hear. I can hear
Yes,
you.
yes.
Yes, Ajay.
Ajay, it's clear.
now we can hear you.
Okay. Okay. So what I'm planning, so I'm going to write the two test case. Okay, so first test case, I'm going to, verify the admin is there, admin tab is there. And second test case, I'm going to verify the PMI is there. All right. But I want to, arrange this particular thing in such a way first test case, I will execute that admin is there or not. Just after verification of that, what I'll do, I'll just log out the application. Okay. And then I will re-enter the username, password. Okay. And then I will again re-enter username, re-enter the password. And in second test case, again, I'm again going to verify the PMI is there. All right. So after each and every test case execution, I want to log in and log out, log in and log out. Okay. So I want to arrange this particular flow. Right. So how to do it?
Sir,
So
we can verify that particular logo dashboard in the first test case. That
you,
orange HRM logo
you can do
dashboard.
it. You can do it. If you want,
And
you can add that particular test as well. Right.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Okay. So I'll give the first test case name, that admin menu or admin item. Okay, so I'll say my first test case is admin item. Okay, and second test case would be what? PMI item. Right.
PM.
So I'll say I'll go to here and I'll say second test case is PMI item. Right. So these are the or maybe I'll say PIM. Sorry, it's a PIM. Right, PIM item. All right. So now two test cases I have added, but for each and every test case, what I need to do, I need to log in and log out the application. Okay, so what I have planned here, I will add it into the before test, the login part. I'm going to add it into the before test so that after the each test case, before the each test case, the my application will log into the site. Okay, and after method, what I'm going to do, I'm going to add the logout related code. Right, so let's do it in that way. All right, so how to log in the application? So for that, what I need to say, I need to go this particular application. Okay, I'll try to inspect this one. All right, so this is the username, which is the name right here. So I'm going to say driver dot find element by dot name, and this is the name. Then I'll say dot send key. All right. Similarly, I'll say for the password. Right. So password is again having name. So I'll just update this name here. Okay. And after that, I have to click on this particular login. Right. So I'll just try to inspect this login. So login is button, which is having type submit. Right. So I'll say // button text is equal to login. Okay. So before login and after login, there is space. So that's the reason I have added the space here. Right. So this is the XPath. So I'm going to say here driver dot find element by dot XPath. What is the XPath? So this is the XPath of your application. right? And then I will going to say dot click. Click. Right. On one more thing that I have to do, I have to do the send key, right? So what is the username? Username is admin. So I'm going to say dot send key, this one. Okay. And what is the password? The password is this one, right? So I'm going to say this is the password. All right. Okay. So once it is login, okay. And what I will do here, I'll add some implicit limits. I'll say how to add the implicit limit. Driver dot.
Driver dot manage dot timeout
Mm-hmm.
dot
Dot
implicit limit
Mm-hmm.
duration dot of second
Duration dot off.
of
Second.
second. Yeah.
So let's say I want to wait for the 30 seconds. Right. So this is done. Right. So this is for the login. Right. So every time before the test case is started, it will log into the application. Okay. So similarly, I have to log out from the application. So where I can add that particular code after test. So as soon as each and every test is finished, I have to log out from the application. All right. So what I'll do, I'll say logout, right? So how to say logout? So for that, I need to add couple of line of code. Okay, so this will be login. Okay, so for to do the logout, what I need to do? First of all, I have to click here, right? So on this particular button, or maybe on this particular button. Anything is fine, right? If I click here, it is also fine. If I click on image, which is also fine. If I click on this particular arrow, this is also fine. Okay, so let's try to find out the way where we can click. All right, so this is the span. It's saying the user drop down tab. ORXT user drop down, drop down image. Okay, and this is the username. Okay, so let's use this one, class user drop down tab. All right, so I say // span at the rate class is equal to user drop down tab. So I'm going to click on this particular tab. What I'm going to say here, I'm going to say driver dot find element by dot xpath, and this is the xpath. All right, so here I'm going to say dot what click, right? Why I'm not getting the click method here? Driver dot find element by dot xpath. So one closing is there, and then I have to say click. Everyone is getting what I'm doing here, right? Right. So once I clicked on this particular thing, what I need to do? I need to click on
Logout.
logout, right? So let's
Log
try to
out.
inspect the logout, right? So logout is the link. So shall I say
Text.
driver link text, right?
Yeah.
How I can click? So I can say like
Driver
driver dot find element by dot
link text.
Link text.
link text. What is the link text? This is the link text dot
Click.
click. Exactly. Right. So I'm going to click on that particular link. All right. So once it is done, so it will just log out. And after all the test case execution is done, what I need to say? Driver dot
Right. Not close.
close
Wait.
or quit.
Click, quit, or close.
All right. So close or quit is fine. All right. Now let's try to write the actual test case. All right. So to make, it is understandable, what we'll do instead of, asserting this particular thing, what I will do, I will click on this particular tabs. All right. So first tab is my admin tab. All right. So how to click on admin? So for that, what I need to say, so this is the first span. Okay. So this is the span. Okay, which is having text admin. All right. So I'm going to say slash span. And I'm
Text
going to
is equal
say
to
text is equal to what?
admin.
Admin. Okay, now I'm getting 1 of 1. All right, so assume that this is our first test case. All right, so we're going to say driver dot find elements by dot
Export.
export.
Dot
Okay,
click.
and then dot click.
Dot click.
Okay, and similarly for the your
PIM.
PIM. All right, so here I just have to update PIM. All right, so let's try it's working or not. If I'm writing the PIM here, PIM. Right, it's working, right? This is the PIM tab. Right, so it is working, right? So
Sir,
that's it.
PIM text for what, sir? Basically, PIM means what?
PIM, I'm not sure, but let's.
Person information.
Uh, it's one type of user, but I'm not sure what it's exactly meaning for current employee. Okay, P.
No problem.
Okay, in support as well, they haven't got the P. Okay, I'm not sure. I mean, it's one type of user. Okay, but
Yes.
actual long form, I don't know. I mean, PIM is what exactly?
Maybe some user information, personal information manager.
No, this is one type of user from the PIM module as well. I can add one user. Okay, and I can, I mean, do add, edit, delete, this kind of action here. Basically, from here as well, you are going to add the user. Okay.
General user, basically.
Okay, yeah, you can say the general user, you can add it here. And later on from the admin, you can give the permissions for that particular user. So admin, if you're having role, right? So you have to search for the PIM user here. So let's say test is there, right? So I'm going to search for the test. Test. Okay, so this is the test latest user is there. And for this user, I can set the role and all. All right, so I can say this is admin user. This is enabled. Maybe I can add the username for him. I can add the password for him, and I will say the save. Right. So this thing we can do it. Okay. So we'll see.
Yes.
I mean, this application changed drastically. Okay.
Yeah.
You after a few days you can see like this particular activity is working. Right. PIM. Right. So in between, if you see like it's displayed everything in Spanish. I
Yeah.
think Vipin itself has shared that particular screenshot, right? So it's everything is showing in Chinese or Spanish, something like that, right? So
Yes.
they do the changes in this particular application, but we don't have to worry about that as of now, right? So the two test case we have added. Okay, so we'll modify the test case as well, but just try to understand the crux. Okay, uh, what is exactly how these tags will help us, right? So for example, my requirement is that I have to log in one time. Okay, or I have to launch the browser one time. Then before each test, I have to log into the application. Then I have to execute the first test case. Then I have to do the logout. Then I have to execute then I have to log in again. Then I have to execute the second test case. And after second test case as well, I have to do the logout. Right. So let's try to do, or let's try to run the test cases. Okay. So I have run all the test cases and we'll see how it is executing. Right. So first test execution is started. Okay. So login, logout, then again login, and then clicked on PM. Right. So maybe what I'll do, it's doing very fast, right? So what I'll do, I'll say driver dot manage dot. How to maximize the page? Dot
Window dot
window dot
Window dot
maximize.
maximize.
maximize. Exactly. Right. So window dot maximize. Okay. And what I will do, I will add little bit thread dot sleep so that you guys can realize that it is actually clicking on this particular tab. Right. So I will say here thread dot sleep of how much time? So let's say 3 seconds. So it will wait for the how much time? 3 seconds.
3 seconds.
Okay, and here itself as well, I'm going to add it. So if you see, I haven't add any assertion. Assertion means what? I'm not checking actual versus expected here. I'm doing here just click. All right. So your test case should not be like this. I'm just doing the click action. So ultimately, your test case should be verify something, right? So it should be. So let's say I'm saying like, let's say after adding the user, so user should be display on the, let's say, list, right? So this is my expected result, right? So each and every test case should have some expected result as well, some expectations as well, right? So here I'm not adding any expectation here from my test case. Okay. I'll tell you how to add the expected condition or how sorry I will tell you how to add the assertions, right? Assertion means how to check what is expected here, right? So uh, but after maybe in next session we'll check for that. Okay, in today's session we are not going for that particular concept, right? So I'll try to run this particular test case so that we'll see how it is actually executing, right? So first of all, it will launch the page. Okay. Now maximize, added the username, password. And if you see, it's clicking on admin. Right. After that, it's just log out. Now again, log in. And now it's click on PMI. And then it will do the log out as well. And it's close the browser as well. All right. So what it means, uh, the things that we have added, those are working perfectly fine. Okay. So if you see here, I'm having like, two, it's saying like, two test case we have executed. So first one is the admin item and second one is the PIM item, and both the test case is running perfectly fine. Correct. And this is my report. This is the report that we have generated. Okay. So, this is how your, tags will executed. Okay, and this is how we can, use the tags. Okay, so what we can do, this is the assignment for everyone. What you guys can do, you guys can add, similar type of test. Okay, you can add the multiple test here. Okay, and you can assert the similar, assertion you don't need to add right now. Okay, but just, in before suit or before class, you can say like, I'm going to, launch the browser. Okay. maybe you have already written the method for the launching the browser, right? So you have to just call that particular method here. Okay, from the util. Then you have to add the before test, you have to add the one method that is for the login. And then you have to add the multiple test. Okay, so let's say test one, test two, test three. Let's say till test five or test six. Okay, and then after that, you just have to log out from the application, and then you have to quit from the browser. Okay, so this is the assignment that you have to do. Today or maybe tomorrow. Okay. Now one more thing that we can see, in TestNG. Okay. So what
Ajay
I'll
sir,
do? Yes.
Ajay sir, just I want to know that why we are doing every time login and log out for every test case.
It's not
Can
necessary.
we?
It's not necessary. I mean, I want to just show few features for you. That's the reason I just do the login and logout. If you want, you can log in once, you can execute all the test cases, and you can do the logout after that. Okay.
Oh,
It's up to you how you want to implement.
but it is good practice if we doing login log out for the.
It's depend on your what kind of requirement you are having, right? So if you are doing the login and log out each and every time, it will consume your time as well. It's not like it will because see, for the login and log out, obviously it's going to take the time. Okay, but assume that let's say I'm not doing the login and log out every time, and assume that let's say I'm on this particular module, that is the leave management. I'm clicking on this particular, let's say, or maybe I'm on this particular page, admin. Here I'm clicking on something. And while doing the executing this particular test case, so let's say my test case got failed. All right. Now in this particular case, I can click on any menu and I can navigate on that particular tab. But there are few applications which is having, let's say, let's consider the example of Amazon, right? So where what we'll do, we'll basically navigate from one page to another page to another page. Right. So now assume that, so your this is your first test that you have to, book one product, right? And second test case that you have is that you have to update the profile of the user. Okay, now while booking, so let's say on checkout page or let's say on your cart page, your test case got failed. You got some exception, your test case is stuck there, right? So now from where your next test case should be start? Obviously it should not be your trip cart page, right? Or it should not be your cart page, right? It should be, let's say I want to update the profile, then it should be, from the login page, you have to log in and you have to do the update, right? So if you are having this kind of application where, it might be chances your application will be going to stuck on some pages, right? So in that case, you have to do login and log out every time. It's good practice, right? But if I'm having application like Orange HRM, right? So if I'm saying like, I'm doing some information, I'm updating some information here, and let's say my script is failed here, right? But still, if I'm my next test case is about the PIM, I can simply click on PIM and I can execute the PIM related test cases here. And it will execute successful, right? So this kind of application, you will not require, login and log out each and every test cases. It will save you a lot of time. Okay, but few of the application definitely it will require login. And so let's say you are working on the banking application. All right, so in banking application it might be required to log in and log out every time.
Yes, sir.
Okay, it's depend on which kind of application you are using, which kind of application you are working. Okay, so what I will suggest you guys, um, login once. Okay, add the login method as well inside the, let's say, before class or before suit. Okay, and try to, just navigate from these tabs. Okay, so write down the test case for all these options, right? Okay, so what we can do, instead of, having blind test, okay, what we can do, um, so let's say after clicking on this particular, I'm just clicking on this particular tab, and then this particular tag turns into the this particular saffron color, right? So we'll try to, check that. color is saffron or not. So how to check the color is saffron or not? So for that, I'll go here, and if you see the background color, all right, so I'll try to get the background color. So how to get the background color? How to get the background color? What is the method to get the background color? We have learned or not this particular thing?
Through CSS, sir.
Mhm.
By dot CSS background.
Okay, so what is the method for that? Okay. So now here I'm a little bit struggling for one of the thing. I hope you guys can guide me. Okay, so what I need to do, I need to navigate till this particular. See, why I want to navigate this particular till the A. I want the X path till this particular A, because when I say, like, inspect this particular admin. Okay, so if you see this particular A tag is there, and for this particular A tag, there is one background available, which is in saffron. Suppose if I verify this particular background, then in that case, I'll get the correct output that when I'm clicking on this particular admin, then my background is getting saffron. All right. So how to do it? Right. So how to write the XPath for this? This is the first question, right? So the things that we know, that is this particular tag. Okay. That is your admin tag. Okay. From this admin, where is the A is available? Here is the A available, right? Which is parent or grandparent? So for this is the
Parent.
parent
So
one,
why
right?
we are going to A tag from span?
Because see how you can verify this particular, how we can write the XPath for this one. Tell me the what is the XPath for this one?
Double slash
Mm-hmm.
E tag
Double slash A tag. Then
at the rate what are the attributes we can
okay. What's the rate?
class
Okay, class.
equal to this class name, sir.
Okay, this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Now this is having one of one because this one is active. Okay. But suppose for example, if I'm clicking on this and this active is not, available, because this is very dynamic. Wherever I will click, it will have this active property available here. Okay. So basically, other tag is having without active, right? So if you see 11 tag, those are without active, but wherever I'm clicking for that, active is available here. All right. So if you want, you can go with this active. Okay. But I don't want to go with this active because I don't believe, okay, how the developer has ready, write the code. All right. So I'm not believing this because this active is coming dynamically when I'm clicking it here. All right. So it might be possible developer miss somewhere that adding this particular active. In that case, my test case will fail. All right. So what I'll do, I'll just try to, first of all, find out this admin. Okay. So for that, what I'll do, or maybe, okay, that's fine. Okay. If you want, write the XPath like this, you can use it. Okay. Otherwise, it will unnecessary increase the complications.
Yes.
Okay. So this is the XPath. Okay. I will use it and I'll say by dot by dot export. All right. Now, what exactly I want from this particular element? Get what? Get
Attribute
CSS value.
get value.
Which CSS value I want? What is this saffron? Saffron is the background color, right? So I want what? Background color. Remember this particular thing we have covered earlier.
Yes, sir.
I think
Yes,
this is
sir.
this thing we have covered. I mean, initial few sessions, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll update it here. Okay. And I'll store it into the some variable, right? So I'll say what this method will return. This will return a string. So I'll create one string variable. So I'll say string bg color equal to this one. Okay, I'll just run it. Okay, now our test case got passed. All right, and if you see, it's just printing the background color as well, right? So we can verify this, with the background color that we are getting from here. Okay, from here we can verify that particular thing. So actually here we are getting one extra parameter. Okay, so I think it's converting it into the RGBA. All right, and here it's showing the value in RGB format. It's in RGBA and it's showing it into the RGBA. What you can do, you can just convert this values into the RGBA and you can verify it with this particular color. I'll tell you later on how to do it, but I will first of all find out this particular color and then I'll compare the actual versus expected. Okay, so I'll show you how to compare the actual versus expected. But what is expected from you guys? You guys can write down the test case for each and every tab. That just check, if I click on this particular tab, I'm able to print the this particular tab is activated or not, and it's printing the this particular saffron color or not. Okay, so just try for the writing the test case for each and every tab. Write down it separate for each and every tab. And if you want to log in once, you can log in once. If you want to log in multiple, you can log in it multiple. Okay. So I think that's it for today's session. We'll meet tomorrow if you want. Okay, because tomorrow is Friday. Okay.
Ajay sir,
Mm-hmm.
RGBA color is different from RGB. It's a color format or what?
Different. It's a different one. This is just format is different.
Okay, fine.
Yes. Okay, then if you don't have any query, then we'll stop here. Okay, Avinash, you can wait for some time.
Okay, okay, fine. Yes.
Thank you, Ajay. Good night.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you, Ajay sir.
Good night.
Bye.